Okay, welcome. Drink with James, episode 70. You might notice that Timothy and I are not at Paris Fashion Week. We are here in New York doing the Lord's work, continuing to try and build tools and drop knowledge upon y'all. So while we could have gone to Paris Fashion Week, we could be sitting in the Tuileries right now filming this, sipping champagne. We're here for you, so you are welcome. You can repay us by purchasing tickets to our influencer conference on 10/24 in sunny Los Angeles. If you haven't seen that yet, you haven't gotten the emails, you haven't opened the emails, Tim will throw a link up. Get tickets. It's going to be fantastic. There's also another video that Tim can link to that explains a bit more about what we're doing in this conference, but we have some amazing speakers. You guys know I've been doing the Instagram challenge with Michelle. I'm going to talk about that shortly, but she's going to be speaking, which I'm really excited about. We've got Erica Hoyda from Fashion Chic Styling. She's been a guest. Tim will throw a link up. She was one of the most popular guests we've had on the show. She's going to be talking, which is incredible. She has, I don't know, maybe 900,000 Instagram followers now, so I think she knows what she's talking about. Also, Chriselle Lim's manager, who's one of the most respected people in the industry, bar none. Talk to anybody. They love her. She's incredible. She's going to be dropping knowledge. Many more to come, but you should sign up. It's a nice dinner. It would be the cost of a nice dinner, but not like the best dinner of your life. So it's somewhere in the middle there. But please sign up if you have any questions. You can email Tim or myself. But we'd love to see you out in LA on the 24th of October. So moving on. If you don't follow my Instagram, shame on you. You should go do that now. But if you do, or you watched the last video with Michelle, you know that I've been doing a little Instagram challenge. So at the end of that show, I told Michelle that I would post the way she does. iPhone photos only, photos of me, ideally photos of me smiling, posted in the moment, not doing a shoot or anything like that, just like going throughout my day and getting a photo and posting it. So I believed the underlying principle of what Michelle was talking about. Look, I've talked about this before, my test with what social media platforms are sticky, of what's the first thing I check when I wake up, and it used to be Tumblr, and then it was Instagram, and then it was Snapchat, and then it's Insta Stories now. And the reason I checked those things was that I wanted to see what my friends were up to. I wanted to see who was out late last night, who got up early this morning, went for a run, who's maybe, traveling on their way somewhere new. Most of the people I follow them because I'm interested in their lives in some way. I have a personal connection to them, or at least if it's not a personal connection, I feel personally connected to them. And what I think has been interesting is that as Instagram has progressed and as it's grown up essentially, that connection has gotten harder and harder to maintain as feeds have become more and more curated, more about sponsored content, more about products, or just generally more editorial. You lose that personal connection. And so most times, an influencer's post on Instagram isn't telling me a lot about their life or what they're up to. And that was Michelle's whole thing, is that her thesis was people are following me, I should give them what they want, which is content about me. So I've done it for the last week. The numbers for me were really surprising. Again, as you guys know, I've really struggled with growth over the last few years on Instagram. I've basically been stuck at 20,000 for 2 or 3 years. Just doing this for 7 photos for a week, my account, the growth rate on my account is up 550%, likes up 160%, comments 200%. I have never grown organically in this way. We've had things happen. I got a pretty big bump when we launched verified following because a lot of influencers tagged me in their badges. But just organic, natural growth, I have not seen anything like this in years and years. It was also kind of fun for me. again, I'm not an influencer. I'm not a photographer anymore, and so sometimes I struggle with what I should be posting, or feeling like the photos that I'm taking throughout my day aren't good enough to justify putting on my Instagram. So it's been really interesting to just use an iPhone and spend literally no time on it. I mean, I posted a photo of me eating a fucking hot dog the other day that got more likes than the best photos I've ever taken in my entire life. So it was a really interesting lesson. I think I'm gonna continue the challenge as it were for at least a month, because I'm interested to see if this week I got a bump because it's something totally new that I just started doing, or if it really is working. What's interesting about it as well is I think that we talk about an Instagram as something that can convert people. And I'm not using any hashtags this week. So I haven't used a single hashtag. I haven't engaged on anyone else's account. I haven't commented. I've done fucking absolutely nothing to drive attention to my page. What I think is happening is that it's just converting more people into followers, because they land on the page, there's 5 photos of me, they can very quickly get to know me and be like, look at 3 or 4 photos and be like, okay, I have some sort of understanding about who this person is and what their life is like, instead of what my feed has been for years, which is a random assortment of beautiful, I think, decently beautiful photos. So I think it's converting a lot better. I'll keep you guys updated with the actual stats and kind of how it's going over the next few weeks. But if you're feeling stuck in a rut, if you're feeling like you haven't grown much in a while, I encourage you to take Michelle's challenge, and for a week to just post iPhone photos of yourself looking at the camera, smiling, talk about your day, talk about what you're doing. Certainly you can incorporate brands. I mean, again, take a look at Michelle's account. She's incorporating brands, she's doing sponsored content, but she's doing it in a way that is also about her, and make sure that like she's keeping that authenticity up and running. And again, she's shooting editorials and posting them to her blog. It's just that on the Instagram, she keeps it iPhone photos. So really interesting. Encourage everybody to do it, especially if you're feeling like you're stuck in a rut. If you are taking Michelle's challenge, we should come up with a hashtag or something for it, but I'm not clever enough to do that right now. But at least let me know, and let Michelle know. Drop a comment in your photo or in one of our photos, and let me know how it goes. Because again, I've been blown away with how well it's worked. I'm actually, in some ways, shocked. I knew she knew what she was talking about, but I'm surprised how much different the engagement and growth of my account has been in just 7 days. Craziest thing I've ever done on Instagram as far as promoting growth. What's the importance of biz dev or sales, and how can you do it outside of events? So, I love sales. You know, sales sales to me, it's, you know what sales is like country music. You know, I feel like a lot of people, especially if you grew up in the 80s, early 90s like I did. I was born in 84. There was this trend when in middle school you'd ask people what kind of music they'd listen to, and they'd say anything but country. And even growing up in the South, that was like a thing. It was like anything but country, anything but country. I think country gets a bad rap. I love country music. I've forced the office to listen to it all the time. I don't think they're super stoked about it. But I think sales is similar. It gets a bad rap as a job or as a skill to have because it feels sleazy, but literally sales is everything that you want out of life, except like, you know, like, I don't know, what people actually want out of life, like love and like joy and things like that. But everything else that you want in life will come as a result of being able to sell, essentially. Either selling someone an idea, selling yourself, actually just selling something. The ability to be able to understand a person that you're speaking to, understand what they need and be able to fulfill that need is literally the most important skill that anybody can learn. I don't think there's many successful people in the world that are not good salespeople. I can't, honestly, I off the top of my head, I can't think of any. Because even if you're a genius, if you can't convince people that you're a genius, and you can't get them behind you, and that you can't get them to believe you, then it's not really going to do much good. You might be vindicated, after you die, and they'll be like, oh shit, that guy was right. Too bad he was such a fucking asshole. But in the moment, Albert Einstein, fucking great salesperson. Like, these people, they get it. They understood how to sell things. Again, I mean, Albert Einstein's actually a great example. His whole thing was like, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you don't understand it. So he was taking very complex things that were changing the fabric of how we understood the universe, and he was selling them to the public in a way that was consumable and made sense and didn't make people feel stupid. Like, he could have spent his life making people feel fucking stupid, right? He's one of the smartest people ever. But he didn't, and that's sales. That's all it is. And so if you aren't working as hard at becoming a better salesperson as you are at becoming a better influencer, I think you're doing yourself a big disservice. And it shouldn't be like, okay, 2 hours a week, I'm going to do sales. Sales is literally a part of every single thing that you do. So outside of events, in emails, in the letters that you send, in the gifts that you send out on Christmas, everything you do, you're selling, and it will bear fruit eventually, I promise. I hope that kind of answers the question. I don't have a photographer. How can I take photos of myself? Look, I've struggled with this week. So, I'm doing the challenge. I got photos of myself. I don't like having my photo taken, really. It's embarrassing, especially on the street in New York City, because there's a lot of people looking at you, and it feels kind of weird to do it. I've just been grabbing people, people I work with. You can just grab a stranger on the street. I've done that before. Maybe link to Patrick's video. He oftentimes will just hand his phone to a stranger and be like, can you take my photo? He sets it up exactly how he wants it. He frames it exactly how he wants it. He says, hold the camera like this and push the button. So as you learn your angles, as you learn what you want out of a photo, you don't necessarily need a photographer to take it. You just need someone to push a button. And if you can get over the initial embarrassment of asking a stranger to do it or making a coworker do it, it's going to be, you'll find that you don't actually necessarily always need a photographer. So, I encourage you to just again, giving yourself goals and things that you want to do is helpful in doing this again. Like, I've done this challenge this week. I felt like every day I had to take a photo, and so that meant sometimes asking people that I was a little embarrassed to ask, hey, could you take a photo of me? People don't really care. Look around the fucking street. I mean, I was walking down the street today to go take my daily photo, and I literally saw 5 people there with their friends holding iPhones taking photos of them. This is happening all the time, and especially now with the iPhone, if you're taking it on the phone, everybody knows how to work it. It's not super confusing. So I think for simple things you can do that. If you're shooting a full blog post, it's a little bit harder, and I think that if you're still, if you're shooting full editorials and full looks and stories and you're putting them on your blog, you probably need a photographer because you need full body, you need waist up, you need a shoe shot, you need a bag shot, you need detail shots, you need a wide shot, you need a landscape, you need portrait. Those are the things that it's going to be really hard for you to tell someone that doesn't know anything how to do that. But getting your gram every day, you should be able to just pass a phone or a camera off to somebody. So, to reiterate, take the challenge, buy your tickets. I'll see you in LA. I'm out.